pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You do the roll call, please, Joan?
Mayor Swenson.
Here.
Counselor Tafe.
Here.
Counselor Bacco.
Here.
Counselor Christensen.
Here.
Counselor Gracke.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and part of that consent agenda is to approve the claims for payment, and that the consent agenda will be with the exception of the Pope County Tribune charges. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilor Tafe to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the Pope County Tribune expenses, seconded by Councilor Balco. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, so we'll approve we'll entertain the approval of the Pope County Tribune expenses, and so I'll accept the motion on that.
I'll make the motion to approve the Pope County Tribune expenses.
I'll second.
Who seconded? Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Tafe to approve the Pope County Tribune expenses, and seconded by Councilor Balco. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Okay, so the consent agenda is approved. We will move on to our first public hearing, which is the proposed ordinance 92.045, regulating the keeping of chickens within the city limits. So we have a proposed ordinance that was developed by Planning and Zoning. So if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to give us your opinion. So. Okay.
Hey, I support it. I moved here from out of town. I came from a
Hey,
place.
what's your name?
Oh, sorry, Brett Bowser. Missed that part. I
And
think
you're on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I am on the Planning and Zoning Commission. One, ecological reasons, you can compost. Food waste can be fed back to chickens. Another reason, children. So living in town, I have a bunch of kids, and I grew up on a farm, and I think that it's imperative that kids have tasks to do, and I think taking care of chickens would be a good task. I say give it a shot. If it doesn't work, go back to the old ordinance and just see what happens. But yeah, I know there was some concerns over avian influenza. Avian influenza is here, but it's passing. We always have avian influenza. Every time the birds migrate, it takes it north. Every time they go south, it takes it south. But it's been very rare instances in small flocks. It's more of a concern in commercial poultry because it takes the saliva or fecal matter contact to transfer that from birds.
Do you know how many people it's killed?
Nope. Has it killed
I
any?
think it's over 256. So. How many?
The traditional flu kills more than
And
that.
how many cattle?
What?
Is it Brett? Is it
And-
Brett?
Yeah.
If I could just interject, oh shoot, go ahead, I'll come back.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you
You
speak
also have
first.
to look at the spread, though. So when you have, the spread can only be through salival or fecal matter contact. That's the only way you can spread avian influenza. So really, like anything's out there. If we really want to talk about it, what carries avian influenza. Wild birds. What's more apt to bring it into town than a stationary flock of domesticated birds? It's going to be birds migrating through. Do we have an ordinance that says you can't feed birds, wild birds? Because whenever you bring birds into feeders, you bring birds into your bird feeder in your backyard, and you're having that nose to fecal matter contact. That's when you're going to concentrate your viral load, not through a small flock at home. It's not the same, and that's why it's such an impact in your domesticated flocks, like these large commercial flocks. Shit.
Do you need to go?
I've got to go. I'm on the ambulance.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, if there's no one else, we'll close the public hearing.
Just wait.
Would you like to come to the podium, please?
And Vicki Auburn, live right uptown here. Just wondering if, I read the regulations, but I don't know if there's any regulation about how close to your neighbor's property it can be, you know, and what happens if it's smelly and noisy. But
Yeah,
is
I
it,
think-
can it be right up next to your property line?
No, I think it's there's a setback, and I think it was in the ordinance.
I think it's 20 feet from a residence and 10 feet from, at least 10 feet from your property line, I believe.
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
And the current ordinance says you have to have at least 10 acres within the city limits to have chickens, but, so this would change our current ordinance, you know. and stuff,
Yeah,
so-
it's still pretty close.
So, all right.
Well,
Thank
and I
you.
mean, I think Vicky brings up a valid concern too, if you're 20 feet offset from the property lines and your neighbor has a dog, you know, animals interacting and stuff like that, you know, chickens, laying hens aren't gonna be making noise, but barking dogs are an issue, so.
Well, we can talk about that when it comes up in new business and stuff, so. Is there any other public comments? Yes.
Hi, Leah Quinn, 301 Bingham Street. One of my questions is, in the ordinance, what they're talking about, that it has to be in the backyard. What is considered a backyard? Right now, if it's about out the back door, we only have like a couple feet from our neighbors, whereas our backyard, we consider, is a lot bigger.
Is that defined in the ordinance, Cody?
Off-street, you define it as off-street, so it's off of your main road, your main access to your backyard.
Okay.
It's kind of, it depends based on your unique situation for your land in a lot of cases, but if you laid out on, like on an aerial map, it'd be the backside of the house, away from the public facing street.
So it'd be that the main, like, so like, let's say we're on Third and Bingham, we're on a corner lot.
So you'd have two front yards in that case. Third and Bingham would be you'd have two front
Okay.
yard setbacks.
Okay. That should be interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Cody Blevins, Starbuck resident. I'm also on planning and zoning. I helped write this ordinance. And I can just say, for the benefit of the public here, who maybe hasn't read through it or isn't as familiar with them, this was, the ordinance that is in front of you and all of us was collected and essentially assembled from active ordinances elsewhere in the state of Minnesota, neighboring communities around the state. So as far as how it falls in line with those, it's fairly in line with any active chicken ordinance you'd see around the state. And it is fairly conservative, I would say, in as many sections as it includes. I believe there's 13 or 14 sections that pretty specifically detail about every question that you could come up with to this point. It does exclude getting like permission signatures from your neighbors right now. That wasn't in any ordinance that we had found while making this or thinking about it. So just as an added piece of information, that way it's fairly comprehensive to anything else you'd find that's active right now.
Cody-
Typically, go ahead.
May I ask why 12? When I also looked at a number of ordinances and, even New London, which is probably one of the closer ones, and then spoke to someone at the state poultry. 12 is a lot of eggs.
12 is a lot of eggs if you're using all of your 12 birds for egg-laying chickens.
So can you explain that then?
Yeah, you could have any combination of egg-laying hens as well as like poultry hens or meat hens, and those take a bit of time to cycle. So if you were interested in only having a small number of those be egg-laying hens, and you wanted to have 8 or 10 meat hens, you would want to have younger and older ranges so that you always have chickens cycling. And chickens don't always lay eggs. Even if you had 12 layers, they might not all be happy. And they lay when they
Yeah.
are content and stress-free and that sort of thing. So it's a bit, just to factor in a bit of redundancy for yourselves. And then to get the chicks themselves right now is fairly difficult as well, too. So
Would it be fair that the towns that have a limit of 5 are specifically addressing the laying hens more so, would you think?
it's certainly possible.
All right.
But if you're going to go through the effort of doing it, and this ordinance is written fairly conservative, that you must have an enclosed pen, you must have the runs, you must have sort of an enclosed sort of facility for them. If you're going to go through that work, the bang might as well be worth the buck, right? So big enough to kind of make it worth your time and actually offset the cost of caring for them and keeping them, certainly. That was the thought.
Any other background that went into writing of the ordinance that would be of help?
Just to benefit all the people of beautiful city of Starbuck, certainly.
Did you, in your quest, looking for information, did you inquire how many towns issue permits?
How many towns or which town?
Well, I mean, how many,
permits?
so I talked to New London City, and they have just 5 permits in their town. So I'm just curious if we have a number.
No, that's
I think some people are thinking everybody's gonna have chickens in their backyard, and, what is the reality?
No, I think that's a great point. It's certainly, probably a town-by-town basis, right? This was brought to planning and zoning outside of, the several of us that are in planning and zoning, so we are responding to the call from the city, certainly. That's a great question. We hadn't really considered that before, or at least I hadn't, to be honest.
Okay,
Yeah, I wouldn't know the metrics.
thank you.
Absolutely.
How
I
many
guess-
people approach planning and zoning, curious about this?
We were in a meeting, and as new business, it just kind of, an item of new business came up that people were asking about it. And I so happened to have a draft ordinance for chickens, kind of one that I was working on, separate from that, but it ended up gaining a lot of traction really quickly because it was brought up, hey, people are asking about this. And I thought, well, as a matter of fact, I have this. So that's kind of the sequence of it. And really, it was maybe 2 or 3 months ago that it was first brought to our attention. And then that next month, it was the first time we looked at the ordinance. And then we kind of chewed on it for a while, drafted it around, looked at it another month, and then I think we're here. So maybe 3 months since it initially was conceived.
And how large is a property?
No minimum requirement on the property, I believe, right now. It would be like, so if you wanted chickens at your house, you would file in the application, and it'd be a case-by-case basis approval from
As long
planning
as
and
you can
zoning.
make the setbacks?
Correct, yep, make setbacks and make that enclosure requirements.
Okay.
Okay, the question I have is, we don't have an animal control, so who would be in charge of wrangling the chickens up if they would get out and all those types of
Yeah, it's a fair
situations?
question, good question. Probably the same people that enforce blight right now. Nobody.
I think in your ordinance, you make reference to a compliance officer, is that correct?
Yep.
I don't know,
Would be,
I've been reading a lot of chicken ordinances, so
Oh,
I
that's
might be
great.
confused.
Would be a city-appointed official yet to be determined.
Okay, and I'm assuming that would be a paid position?
To be determined.
Okay, all righty. But that was your thought process, not necessarily paid, but it would be an appointment of,
It would be a appointed position,
Okay.
certainly.
that would be the person go chase your chickens.
Would you like me to field any other questions? Anybody else?
I actually do have a question.
Go ahead.
Who
Please,
wrangles the dog?
Keep your dog in your yard.
Well, yeah, but I was asked.
Oh, you're saying like when a dog gets out, who wrangles the
Yeah.
dog?
Who's in charge of that?
Yeah.
Because I was. Okay, because I was asked by someone not too long ago, like, how does the stray dog problem in Starbucks? Because apparently people's dogs get out a lot. I'm not on Facebook, which is where that kind of thing is usually posted, but yeah, I mean, if that's who wrangles dogs, how is it that much different?
Well, I would say it's really not the police responsibility. They've got better things to do than chase around our chickens, number one. Number two, I think, the enclosure requirements, that was a big part of this. There's no free-ranging chickens. The idea is that you don't want to have it be a burden on anybody, all the way back to yourself, but especially your neighbors and anybody outside. But there is a lot of personal responsibility that, somebody would take on if they were to have chickens at their house, or residence, certainly.
The chicken coops would have to be heated, right, in the wintertime?
Yeah, unless you were gonna butcher all your chickens or put them inside of a shop or something like that, yeah, a responsible owner would absolutely need to
Any
heat that.
idea of what it'd cost to build a chicken coop and a run?
Well, it kind of depends your preference, right? Some people are fancy, some people are not. I gotta resurface my deck right now, so I've got probably 800 feet of 2x6s that I'm thinking about. Could make some nice framing for the coop. Sheeted metal, I mean, there's a million different ways you could slice it, but you could probably do it as, I won't guess, actually. That's a bad thing to do in my line of work. I won't guess at a cost.
The ordinance doesn't say anything about what the coop would look like or anything,
No, I don't believe it does.
whether it has to be painted or sided or.
No, I think that would be up to that city-appointed official, certainly on an inspection to
You
determine
think it
that.
should be in the ordinance?
No, I don't.
That it would match the house or something like that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is from a personal perspective now. I'm just talking as Cody. You drive by a lot, anywhere in this town, there's a lot of stuff that's more unsightly than a chicken coop. And again, that's to your own opinion. If it's in your backyard and it's not visible by anybody but you, who cares if the sides don't match? It's a chicken coop. It's not, a place where you or your kids are living.
Cody, I have a question.
Yep.
It's not addressed in the ordinance, and that doesn't mean it couldn't be put in there, but what would be possible penalties if they're not in compliance?
Fine, definitely.
And is that something that could be added to the ordinance?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, so all of a sudden, according to this, and it's not that, or they're not taking care of the chickens, or, whatever it's deemed by them.
And, in the section, and I forget exactly where it's at, I mean, does it not mention a fee or a fine anywhere, like in the, sort of like the annual reissuance of it when you get inspected?
Yes, it does, but not like penalties of compliance, so I guess that's why I
Gotcha.
had written that down. And then I see you have a suggested permit fee, but that could certainly be something that we discuss, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, and I think, that's maybe a longer conversation when you start talking about if somebody is going to be paid to uphold this or go around and make regular inspections. That would need to be considered when you talk about a fee, certainly.
And then last, I don't know if it's this, again, I've read many ordinances lately on chickens. Do you have that they will not be used for sale? I don't know if it's in here, but some city ordinances, like, they're only gonna be for personal use. We're
Yeah,
not gonna
no, I
have
don't-
like
I don't know
700
that it
eggs for
is.
sale in Starbucks.
I don't know that it is, but I think it should be.
Okay, so obviously open to make changes. and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, this is brought to the city from planning and zoning for public input and the city's input and to make revisions on it, certainly.
But I saw that on a lot, that it's personal use only.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great comment.
Is there a way to identify your chickens?
Another good
Your
comment.
Chickens on my lot,
Yeah, I think,
how much trouble can I get into with your chickens?
well, if you got a chicken on your lot, I'd eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Fried chicken for dinner.
An escaped chicken has no rights.
Well, I mean, if your chicken came onto my lawn, it's done, I'm eating it.
Well, it's not-
But
yeah,
if, I
It's not
mean,
the same as a dog.
no,
but
for
it's,
sure. I mean, if you go to like a bird farm or something, they have, little anklets that you track birds on. I don't think that would be like a requirement or anything like that. But certainly if you didn't wanna lose your luggage and you wanted to hold somebody accountable in the event they
Yeah,
did
I'm not
maybe get your
talking
chicken.
about it as the owner.
Yeah, no,
I'm talking about it as the owner of the lot where the chicken is.
yeah, no, I would,
Okay,
I mean,
as long as you can't get in trouble.
I don't know. Right now, there's nothing that says you can get in trouble. You tell me.
Than a cat, a stray cat living in the yard, you can trap them,
Okay.
it's not illegal.
Okay. No, go for it. We're real casual here.
I haven't read the proposed ordinance, so sorry for that, but, are we separating laying hens from meat hens?
Yes, sir.
Because if we have a rooster and we're right next
Yeah,
door, we got
roosters.
several roosters.
No roosters.
Okay.
No roosters are allowed, but it's, kinda like we talked about a little earlier. 12 chickens, split them up how you want them.
Okay.
6 layers, 6 meat, 12 meat, whatever you want.
Perfect, okay, thanks.
How about like chicken trackers and things like that, would you be able to, be keeping them
Yeah, like you're saying, like like a dome, you move it around your yard to,
you have to run, like, say, you had the chickens, you have to run in the coop or whatever, if you could move them to other places in your yard, as long as you keep them in a,
Yeah, certainly an idea I'd considered if I were, if this passed and I were gonna build my own. I got a long kind of linear yard, something that I've thought about. It certainly doesn't restrict it right now in the zoning ordinances, doesn't necessarily encourage it either. So, I think that might come up to specific wordage or, how the chicken inspecting authority might rule on that.
We're gonna have to ask people to come up to the podium because.
Oh, they can't hear.
We're recording this.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
Do you want any of that repeated?
I think it's fine.
You know,
Apologize.
Tiffany, are you, can you record everything back there?
I think it's picking it up, actually.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
if
I'll
anybody
sit
else
down.
has questions, you can direct them to Cody if you want. Yeah.
Derek, I live on Walling Street. What do you guys do about the
Derek.
smell? Oh.
Come up to the mic. Say
Apologize.
that again. What?
What do you guys do about the smell and possible critters, coyotes, raccoons, any of that?
So I'll talk loud as I respond so Tiffany can hear it. There is a provision that's put in for, smell control. You must have a plan to dispose of your manure. We're not specific on what you need to do that. But as you submit your application, you need to have a plan in place specific for your setup.
Okay, say my neighbor has a brand-new chicken coop and compost heap, and it reeks through the summer. What recourse would I have?
Then
Is there anything
I
that I
think
can
at
do?
that point, you could file a civil complaint, and it would be a civil issue at that point. It wouldn't really be anything that, the city could do about it unless it was written in our ordinance.
So smell and pests, coyotes coming into the city because of the new, is that also written into anything? Is that a part of? I'm sorry.
Probably happens, the coyotes, probably happens to some extent without you knowing it. They just don't have a reason to make themselves visible to you.
But, okay. But,
Like, if you
okay.
don't have chickens, they're not gonna stop, but they'll just walk through your yard anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
I got one more. I'm Bruce Raylan, live in Starbuck. You've all seen my crappy yard that MnDOT and the city left.
What's your address?
720 North Main Street.
Yes.
You know it well. You've been there. You picked up one rock one day. Out of about 2,000 that I
I just
did.
want to make sure everybody else knows where you live.
Okay, well, I believe in the city ordinance that we should have it, but according to the city ordinance, I can't have one because of my lot size. It's big, but it's too close to everything. Don't have the room. Don't have the room. And there's other people that I've talked to have narrow lawns. Long, but narrow. They're excluded too. So you exclude one, you exclude all. but I'm in favor of this for other people that want to do the chickens. Do what you want, and nobody can stop you because you do it all anyway. Which, in my opinion, you don't do a good job at it, but hey, that's beside the point. Yeah, I've seen coyotes in my yard. I've seen deer in my yard. I've seen raccoons. I got rid of a lot of cats a couple of years ago. Been bitten by a dog. Cop showed up at my house after the fact. But there's all kinds of critters out in this community. I mean, I've got neighbors over here that see deer in their backyard every morning at daylight. Coyotes, you hear them howling real close. My little yapper dogs go crazy when they hear it. But I would approve anybody that wants chickens to have them. I've raised chickens before on a farm. My wife said, let's have some. I looked at the ordinance. We can't have any deer. She goes, okay, we can't have any. Simple as that. But don't beat everybody up over the bush for something that can be corrected face to face instead of here. Sign this, you're under arrest. Like I was last year, almost under arrest because I was speaking my mind and you didn't like it. Well, I'll be up here more often than not now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I got a real quick follow-up question.
Oh, he's back.
I've been doing some research and messaging some friends. What was the number you used for deaths?
220.
Where did you get that number?
I had 256
Where did you get that number?
out of the newspaper.
So that number goes back to 2002. I'm not allowed to say the agency I work for, but I work for an agency. And I asked our chief veterinarian and said that as of January 6th, there have been 66 confirmed human cases of H5N1 bird flu in the United States since 2004, 67 since 2022, and only one death in the United States. And that's official and also what they're releasing through CDC as well. But the numbers that you see when you Google, the first thing that comes up is going back to, hold on, just got these numbers as well. That's going back to 2003, and the bird flu strain in 2003 had 161 deaths, and that was between Australia, Cambodia, China, Vietnam, and some country that I have no idea what it even means, LAO, capital PDR, and that was the worst one. The new strain, as of 2004, in those same countries, was 13 and 3. 261 is total from World Health going back to 2002. The strain currently is not that high of a risk to people.
And so,
There's only one confirmed death in the U.S., and those numbers are available from CDC as well, currently as of January 6th.
And
Brett-
Brett, what I was going to mention was, when I talked to the state, was exactly reaffirming what you said about feeding the birds is a greater chance than raising chickens.
And just to
I
compare.
mean, and that's a very slim chance to begin with.
Yeah, and compare this year's deaths to last year's deaths, Ottawa impoundment, there were over 3,000 dead waterfowl at Ottawa impoundment. This year, we haven't picked any up.
I think you mentioned it isn't changing, it's getting better or something.
Yeah, and that's typical of any virus, from West Nile virus to Triple E, that as the virus, because a virus doesn't want to kill off its host.
But you have to admit that it's evolving. I mean, geese are getting it, you know. and
Every year.
Cows are getting it, and, you know.
And will just like the human flu. And there's a vaccine being developed, but every single year, there's always going to be a new strain. There's always going to be a new strain of Triple E. There's always going to be a new strain of West Nile virus. There's always going to be a new strain of Lyme's disease. There's always going to be a new strain because it's something that's in the wild that adapts and change. And it's moving from the far North Arctic to the far South America, exposed to different environments. It's always going to be changing, and it's always going to be there. The risk to people just isn't that great. But I just wanted to share those numbers.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? If not, we'll close the first public hearing at, what? At 7 o'clock, and we'll open the second public hearing on a request to rezone parcel number 27-0590-600 from residential farmland to rural service district. I don't know if we have anybody that wants to comment on that.
Hi, I'm Tina Herdler up at Moore and Ninth. So my property is adjacent to this. I'm not sure, could you explain exactly what this is about? Like, why would it go from one to another? Is this property looking at being developed?
Well, it's looking at being developed, and I think the person that has a contract for deed for the property, they're looking at the tax rate, it'd be potentially less taxes in that if it was a rural service district rather than in the city.
Okay. But it's going from farmland, is that correct? So what's the difference? I tried to look this up and I don't.
The tax base is different depending
That's
on
the
how the
only
land is classified.
Okay,
And
is that
so
the only
residential,
difference?
and then moving down to residential farmland, tends to be less as far as the amount of taxes on there. Just like, Lake Shore is so much by the foot.
Right.
So it's a scale.
Okay. And the way the property is, I'm just wondering, just curious, it's got this little, like, finger that comes down the side. What is that, and why would that be there? Is that some kind of a future access, that there's an easement somewhere on
It's,
my property?
Potentially, yeah. I think.
Is that a road? Do you know, Randy?
I think it was, without looking at it, I think there was maybe a road somebody else.
I think it was platted for possible access.
Okay.
Because it literally goes right in between me and my neighbor's place, and as far as I knew, there was no easement there in between our homes.
Well, it's not an easement, it's actually part of the parcel.
Okay. Is it like a future alley? I'm trying to figure out what this is.
It's
No.
owned by that person, that's not a city, that's not part of the city, so
Okay.
if the person wanted to develop it, they must have designed it to be a road to access in the future, whenever it was parceled this way.
Okay, but now that there's homes just south of that, then does that close off that opportunity for them to do that in the future? Because I really don't want a road behind my house.
As
Yeah.
far as what was brought to us is they want to build up in a different corner, so they were gonna access a lot from a different side, but other than that, we don't know.
They don't, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
They would still own that finger of land, and
Yeah.
so,
As long as it's not gonna be a future road, I guess
Yeah.
that's really all
But
I care
I don't
about,
know
some
that
kind of
we-
a driveway.
I don't know that we could guarantee that in the future.
Well, there's no road there. I mean,
I
there's,
know
it
there
literally
isn't
goes.
currently, but
Yeah.
if it were, if they build in there and then they decide to subdivide the property into smaller lots for additional housing or something, maybe that road would be something they'd have to have.
It would have to go
Okay.
So I don't think it could be guaranteed in the future,
Tina, I think it would have to be on the north of, like, Robbins and Lang,
That's kind of what I was wondering.
north of there, because there is not a road access to that finger that goes
That's
down.
what I wanted to verify. Yep.
It would look like you'd have to go in Abercrombie onto the yard.
Yep.
And then,
And then kind of over.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
All right, thank you, guys.
I'll give an update on this. I talked to Mike this morning. Mike is pulling out of this. I tried to buy it. I made an offer on the land, said, hey, I'll take it for the future. His house is on the market, and they have some land in Holmes City, and he's gonna be building on that instead. And so I offered on this piece of property. It is going back to Stefan to be included back in the homes, in his place. And then he's gonna use his cattle pasture. But, so I asked Mike what about this, and Mike said he's withdrawing his application, everything. The only thing that Mike had asked me to ask about, which I told him was on him, he wanted to know why did he have to get the second survey when it was surveyed in 2019? Because he was told he would have to have a second survey, which he did.
Just told it had to be surveyed.
Okay, all right. So it's on him that he got it surveyed a second time after it was surveyed in 2019.
Yeah, he would, if he had a survey,
I'm gonna tell him to contact you. That's on him. I'm not even sure why I asked. But, so he's withdrawing his building application, and he's withdrawing this proposal as well. His house is on the market now, and he just finished off the construction loan and is going in. I guess his family has some property, and this is going back to Stefan, so it's a done deal at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, what time is it?
6 minutes after 7.
Okay, we'll close unless there's any other comments. If not, we'll close the public hearing on that request and reopen the regular council meeting at 7:06. So, next item on the agenda is Roger Aberg to talk about adopting a picnic shelter program in the city park.
So you should all have a 3-page handout, I think, that I gave you. Just quickly, in 2023, I proposed the adoption of a shelter program. Been here a couple times since then. It was actually approved as a concept in 2023, but I wasn't aware that it is in your actual city website as something. So tonight I'm just filling out that form, which you have in front of you, which basically says the class of 1968 is taking advantage of or doing the adoption of, I believe it's number 2. I did a lot of work on it last year.
Just for everybody's benefit, number 2 is where.
Number 2 is the one with the bathrooms. The buildings in the park, the shelters and stuff, if you've been there, I just want to clarify that, they're in fairly good shape, but cosmetically, they need a lot of things. And especially that bathroom one it really needed a lot of work. And so I went to work on it last year, mostly. When we had our class reunion, I presented it to the class of 68. They agreed to adopt it. And the concept would be that there should be another 4 groups in the city or more that would adopt the other 4 shelters. So that those 4 shelters, the proposal says that we're not doing anything that the city is responsible for. We're not doing maintenance, that kind of thing. We're just helping you clean it up, and the ordinance actually, you can find it under services. That's why I didn't know where it was even, but it's under services in the website. Under services, Parks and Rec, and then it's at the bottom of the page. So anyway, that's mainly what I'm doing, is applying for that right. And then also, let's see, the idea would be that there's like I said, more groups in town that will go ahead with it. I don't see why you wouldn't. It doesn't take that much work or effort. And just to give you an idea on I passed the hat at our class reunion, there were probably 40 kids there, and we collected $1,000 to help maintain with paint and whatever and whatever. And again, the ordinance says, or it's not an ordinance, the proposal says that if you're gonna do anything that drastically changes the building, obviously you gotta get it okay. You know, if you're gonna paint it pink, sorry, you gotta ask. If you're gonna repaint it the same color, and you wanna do that, like last year, we did the gable end, needed, probably the biggest project on the outside of the building, other than pressure washing and doing this and odds and ends, was to replace the gable end that faces the lake and replace the bath fans, et cetera. And then we spent a lot of time inside the 2 bathrooms making them useful. And we will finish that this spring. So anyway, that's pretty much, so what I had noted was just apply and then include the progress and list, which you have there. If you have any questions on any of that, I guess that'd be fine. The other thing that has happened really since I made that proposal is that you've got an active park board now that meets once a month. And so, for example, I would think this proposal, this would go to the park board, and the park board would take it to the city, so that you don't have to deal with this at council meetings and stuff, would make sense to me. It's a win-win thing, and there's gotta be enough people in town that could help out. I do have pictures of before and after of what was done. And again, I'm not criticizing the city. They got a lot to do down there, but it would be nice if those buildings would look as new as they can look, and be repaired where they can be. Even if they're not, you know, like if you go down to the park, the white shelter that's over by the large flagpole, it's got some rotting posts, it's got some bad fascia material. If whoever adopted it just painted it, not replace the post. It doesn't always have to be a replacement situation. You can make it look nice, and eventually you have to replace it then if it doesn't, but it will make it last longer. So it's not, you know, you can get bogged down with looking at something that you can look at and fix to make presentable to the public. You can lose the whole project by saying, well, we're going to have to replace all those posts, you know, and stuff. You don't have to. You can repair those posts and go from there. So that's all I have, I guess, is what
So,
you.
You got an application?
The application's in. It should be in front of you.
Okay.
There's a 3-page thing there that basically has what you have in your website, and then the application is filled out, and then the 3rd page is it's a long list of things that have been done to the other shelter. And the only other thing that comes up, and you'll see that if you read through that list, is, like I said, we collected enough money, so I don't care about paint and stuff, but neither of the bath fans work, so I replaced the motors and stuff. Things like that really should, I think, be billed back to the city, because they had to be done. So if, like, at least in our situation, if there are things that, obviously we'd get them done, we'd give you a bill, and if we got paid, that'd be great, you know, reimbursed, so.
I think it's a great.
You're suggesting it go through the park committee, or?
Well, I think it would be better than you guys got enough to do here, and as long as the park committee is meeting now, once a month, and that's the other thing that should be mentioned for all of you people too, is that Chris is kind of heading up the park committee, I think, but 2026 is and you're probably gonna cover this. But 2026 is the 100-year anniversary of the park. And so, next year, if there is some celebration, it'd be nice to have all those shelters looking as good as they could, along with some other projects that we're talking about. So, any other questions?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Cassie Wers, Friends of Lakeshore City Park.
Good evening. My name is Cassidy, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Friends of Starbuck Lakeshore Park to share an update on the work our group has started and to invite the city to join us in taking meaningful steps toward preparing the park for the future. In May of 2026, so next year, our city park will celebrate its 100th anniversary. This is an important milestone and one that we believe deserves both recognition and action. Our group would like to offer support if the city plans to celebrate this occasion, and more importantly, to assist with improvements that ensure the park is in the best possible shape for generations to come. We've already started identifying areas in need of attention and proposing ideas. One step in the right direction is the proposed Adopt a Shelter program that you just heard about. It encourages community members and groups to get involved in improving and maintaining the park's shelters. This type of effort is a great way to build community pride. But it's also important to be clear, this work cannot rest on volunteers alone. We are asking for a strong commitment from the city, both in terms of financial support and city staff involvement. Volunteers can assist, but we need leadership and investment from the city to truly make progress. One meaningful idea proposed is to create a space of honor and reflection near the Veterans Flagpole and artillery piece. Beyond that, we've identified numerous improvements the park would benefit from. Bandshell repairs. A short-term solution for the playground equipment is to reset and relocate so that the two playgrounds are closer together, but ultimately to purchase replacement pieces to make the park inclusive. ADA accessible swings and baby swings, picnic tables with accessible options, safe, level park benches, a new accessible shoe fly, refurbished horseshoe pits, and the addition of cornhole boards, so it would be like half and half instead of just horseshoe. Dock reinstallation for summer 2025 with long-term plans for a fishing pier, tree trimming, and updated park signage and a welcome entrance sign. These are reasonable, doable projects, but they require resources. We respectfully ask the City Council to reconsider the 2025 Parks budget, seek out additional grants, and explore fundraising opportunities to support this shared vision. Ultimately, we believe the city needs to develop a comprehensive plan for what the park could and should look like in the next 3 years. What improvements are possible? What funding is needed? What are the priorities, and how do we get there? We're not asking for perfection overnight, but we are asking for a plan, a commitment, and a shared investment in the future of a park that means so much to this community. We're ready to help. We just need to know the city is standing with us. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And are you part of the park committee?
Yes, I recently joined and did a walkthrough during the last meeting.
I think it'd be good if they brought the ideas through the park committee
Oh, yeah.
first.
Yep.
Oh, that's
That
what
was
all
in March,
these
and
were
we have
from.
not met until April.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Cassidy.
So, I just wanted to clarify one thing on the Adopt a Shelter program too. The people that adopt a shelter do not have to expect to incur any costs on themselves, so the Rogers talk about reimbursement and stuff. So the city is committed to, making those repairs and stuff, but we need individual groups to kind of take charge and ownership of their own shelters. So by all means, don't assume that like the city is just ignoring it and doesn't want to put money towards it, because that's not the case whatsoever. So I just wanted to clarify that for both of your points, so.
Okay, next on our agenda is Ted Zink from Minnewaska Marine.
Good evening. Y'all know who I am. So what I'm bringing to you is a proposal to have a powerboat race this summer. You've got a brochure there in front of you that kind of explains to you a little bit about what it is and the influence on the city that it brings in and the number of people. Just have to go through the process, and they say that we have to get the city's blessing on it before we can move forward to it, doing it, and get a vote on that the city is on board with it.
Do you know what these other cities, what kind of crowds they had, or how many boats they had racing?
Well, so some of the stats from last year, their average race was 41 racers. They typically come with about 115 race participants, so they come with a full crew as far as they'll bring their safety people, so they've got divers on board. They come with boundary protection boats, so they'll kind of keep the boundaries if spectators want to spectate from the lake. They keep the people away far enough. If there is a crash, they come with a boat that will recover the boat and recover the diver, or recover the racer. They use about 30 hotel rooms. The average, about 45 of the racers, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but people that come with the race team, about 45 of them will fill up their fuel in the local town that they're racing at. A lot of them do come with semis and big toters. So it's quite a production. They figure out, we're trying to figure out where we're parking all these race units right now. So they race Friday and Saturday, so they figure they would probably fill up the parking lot down by the beach. Possibly some of it down at the water's edge down there, but they're thinking they're gonna dock and put their boats in and out down there because it's close. Typically, they'll race a heat and they'll take their boat out, so it's a constant rotation. They do it with ATVs and side-by-sides, so they don't really have much for vehicles running back and forth. What we would like to do is park them in them two parking lots and possibly overflow, depending on the weather and how the ground is, maybe at the airport. Spectators parking, I don't know. We're thinking about opening the lot behind the shop there and just park them out in the field. Just depends on what the weather's like and if the ground is hard. They say some of them, it depends on the race venue, on spectators. He said the metro ones, they probably have 10,000 people that come there and spectate, but they've got some out in Chautauqua, Wisconsin, and all over the place, and it varies. It just depends how the word gets out and if everybody promotes it and how it's promoted.
And August 22nd, 23rd doesn't conflict with any other activities
No,
in town?
we've kind of went through over that. With the town, we don't have anything, so it's 2 weeks after the Dragon Boats. We've also looked at the DNR site where they post all the fishing tournaments, and there's no fishing tournament that weekend. So we should be good with that date. There shouldn't be anything else going on the lake and the town, so.
And the race course would be in front of the beach?
Yes, so they really want to make it a spectator sport, so they race as close as they can to shore. About 7 feet of water is their minimum. So they're going to bring it as close into shore as they can. They figure they want to try and give the water's edge a good view there, so they'll put a curve or a turn there and then out across the front of the beach, and then probably not come the full length of the beach and then make another turn there and just kind of have an oval there.
Ted, do you have access to seating stands, like at a baseball game, those?
Yeah, I've kind of been asking around, because it'd be nice to get some bleachers or something out there on the beach.
That's the
for
way I
that
was looking for
weekend,
bleachers.
Just for the show, but I haven't found any yet, but
Have you checked the school?
I have not.
That might be, I think they have
Well-
portables.
For
We
Dragon,
have bleachers for the Heritage Days parade. Who's
the
it?
Cyrus owns those.
Cyrus?
Oh, I usually pick those up, so I would imagine they would allow you to use those as well.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that was kind of their thing too, is they wanted room for people, because, we might get 500, we might get 5,000, you just don't know.
Yeah.
We're trying to promote it here. We will be going around getting sponsors for it. Other than that.
What time are the races, generally speaking? Kind of like,
They don't really give a time. Friday, I would guess, Friday they'll be starting in late afternoon. Typically, the races, they have a few heat races, but the races run 2 hours, is what they kind of generally say. Of course, it depends on how many boats, because it's a national sanctioned thing, so if somebody's in the area from another place, Ohio or wherever, they can still race, so it still counts for points for them. But he said it's generally about 2 hours that they actually race. They have a few heat races, and they go right into their racing.
so even on Saturday, we're just talking like a 2-hour span? Or is
Well-
it span longer, but the actual?
It'll be about 4 hours.
Got it.
Yeah, so the whole thing will consume about 4 hours, about 2 hours of heavy racing.
So the 4 hours would include any practice runs? or
Yes,
any
yeah.
stuff?
Heat races, stuff like
Sure.
that. They'll have a
Yeah.
few warm-ups and,
Yeah.
they have like a parade lap and all that stuff, that everybody kind of goes around the course.
And this wouldn't interfere with the marina? That wouldn't need to be closed down with the boundary lines, right? So close to the city beach there?
No.
Okay. Have you brought this to the Minnewaska Lake Association as well? Are they on board with
I
this?
have not.
Okay. Is there any financial implication you're looking for from the city?
Well, if you want to. Like I say, we're gonna go around and we're going around to get sponsors. If the city wants to be a sponsor, it does cost about $12,000 to get them here. The couple of other requests that they have is that there's garbage facilities, which I know there's dumpsters, down by the water's edge, there's a dumpster by the swimming beach, stuff like that. I guess I feel the city's got them there. That's kind of a donation there, or contribution. The dumpsters. The other thing they have is we do have to have the ambulance on staff the whole time, so we're just gonna take that out of the sponsorship and have that taken care of too, so. So that was the main thing, the ambulance, because they won't race if there isn't an ambulance on site. It's safe, but it's still racing, so you never know. But yeah, I'm not asking the city for anything right now. I just other than the fact of, yeah, it's okay to go ahead because we will be hitting the DNR. So, let's get permission from the city, get permission from the sheriff's department, and get permission from the DNR. So that's our 3 things we have to get done first.
And I mentioned the sheriff's department would have a boat out there,
Probably be good
wouldn't
to check
they?
with the Lake Association, because they do treatments and
Yes,
stuff in the lake
yeah.
and,
Yep, I can definitely check with them and see them. Maybe they want to know,
Is there any liability and stuff to this?
It's all covered in our payment to them.
It is.
Yep, they have an insurance company that insures just that. So it insures that whole thing, so, yeah. Other than that,
so the 4 hours would probably run from 10 to 2 or something, or?
yeah, I would say maybe even a little later than that. It's probably gonna be more like, closer to noon to 4, something like that.
Okay.
Yep. And we're just doing a 1-year contract right now. For one, I want to see how it goes. They want to see how it goes. Get the input. If we get 5 spectators, they probably don't want to come next year. But if we get a lot of people,
Is it Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday. He's very excited about the the way they can put their course. We just have a unique situation. We're on the right side of the lake, and we've got the right bay for it, so everything would work out that it's gonna be a nice spectator sport, so. He's very
So,
excited.
What kind of advertising do you have, or do they have?
Well, they put it on their website. I guess what we would like to do is we just like to just hit Facebook really hard, Marketplace, and just put it out there on
City
Polk
website.
County, city website, all that stuff, so.
How soon would you do that?
Well, we gotta get all the confirmations, make sure it's gonna go and everything, and we'd wanna start advertising right away. They said as soon as I sign the contract that they're gonna be posting it, because
Okay.
they like to draw as many people in as they can for the race, so they'll send it out to all the racers and the sanction and let them know what's going on. So,
Mitch, would you have any input or comment on it?
No, I think parking as long as you're private parking lots, city lots, I'm sure it's fine, so. Maybe just lots. Maybe just-
Yeah.
I imagine we would need extra people depending on how many people
Depending on the
on
traffic,
duty.
there's no traffic control or what it is, but.
We thought maybe
Okay.
we'd get like a people toter so we can give them a ride, so everybody's not walking from the airport or behind
Yeah.
my place and stuff like that. so.
And I know we talked about, and Dane had brought it up, just the access for people at the Hobel Park,
Yeah,
being able
yeah,
to
it
still get
shouldn't-
out on the lake.
It shouldn't affect the marina at all, because we're further south than that. My marina down there, it might get a little, we might just shut it down and get a little dicey,
Yeah.
just to.
I just don't want to interfere with other people, especially the
Yeah.
weekend before Labor Day. You know, it's one
Yeah.
of our busier weekends too, so I mean.
And that's where we were with, the time of year is kind of good because it's not summer, so we were happy with that.
So, if they have a good turnout the first year, they consider coming back?
They would like to do like a 10-year commitment.
Oh.
And really, the commitment is just sign it and say, yeah, we'd like to do this for 5 years or 10 years, or, yeah, it's nothing that, it can't change, so, yeah, we'd like to see it really go gangbusters and do it every year.
Sure.
I'm assuming because they love the lake that their boats are clean, wherever they've been before have been, just bringing in,
Oh, yes.
the Eurasian milfoil, the star, everything that we have now that we
Yeah.
want to get rid of.
They're so waxed and cleaned and polished.
And they are aware that we have it here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, that didn't seem to bother them at all. It's-
All right.
Any other questions?
Do you need a motion from us?
If I could.
I think, is that under new business? or-
It's not.
It's not? Okay.
I'd make the motion to give approval for the boat races, August 22nd and 23rd.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Counselor Tafe to approve the boat races on August 22nd, 23rd, seconded by Counselor Gurecki. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Okay, next on our agenda is, yes. Nick Coos from Widseth Engineering. So,
Hi, Nick Coos with Widseth. I'll just give you a quick update on the couple of projects we have that we're working on for you. I'll keep it short, as it's been a busy night. The wastewater treatment facility plan, we're working on cost estimates and the TMDL request to the MPCA and the environmental review letters. So we're making good progress on that. For the other project, the wastewater treatment plant improvements, we're making good progress on the plans and specifications, and we'll have some draft ones to Randy probably around the end of the month. So, to review and keep it moving forward so we can get that stuff repaired and keep it in good working order for you. Any questions?
so we're moving forward.
Yep, moving forward.
Good.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Nick.
you,
Yep,
Nick.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is, we wanted to discuss the invasive species treatment, and we've been contacted by Tigris, and but we first need to have a survey done before any treatments, and of course, we've had some issues, and I don't know, Ted, if you want to make any comments about the treatments, or last year they used a new chemical to treat milfoil, and it's hopefully it'll last up to 3 years. Is that right?
So yeah, what's happening is the chemical they're using, it's in a confined area, so what it's doing is it's creating a chemical reaction with the aluminum on the pontoons, and it just.
That's more for the starry stone wood.
Yeah.
Not the milfoil.
Not the milfoil. The milfoil hasn't been doing anything. That we've been doing for a long time, and that's been trouble-free. We do have a treatment on the pontoons that we do now. It's an epoxy treatment that will keep everything, including electrolysis, from happening on the pontoons. So, and that's been working good. We've been doing that now for the last, I don't know, when was the first treatment we did? Since about the first treatment, 2-3 years ago, something like that, and we've had zero problems with any of them we've treated so far. It's been working really well.
So, I don't know, I'd just like to make a comment that we've tried hand pulling of starry stonewort, and the seeds or the bulbils come off when they're pulling the starry stonewort, and those go back to the bottom and regrow the next year and so forth. So, and it's very expensive. The hand pulling is like 40 grand, and I think the chemical treatments are like 7 grand. Is that right? About
Less than that.
less than that. So, I don't know. This year, I'd propose that we continue the chemical treatments, and just for the starry stonewort, I don't think we have to address the milfoil this year. And but we do.
Did we go to the county for any of the money that they were giving out for grants?
We will once we know what we're doing,
Okay.
for sure.
And it seems to me, I'm trying to look at a couple weeks ago story, but it seems to me that they're going back to a different treatment, an older treatment now, finding it more effective. So I don't know, will this company come
For what?
and talk to us?
For an older treatment for what?
It was this, that's what I'm trying to, it was either the starry stonewort or the Eurasian milfoil that they returned back to a different, to the older chemical. They found it to be more effective.
So they were using like a formulation of 2,4-D for the milfoil, and that was working very well. And I don't know on the starry
Okay, that's it, the 2,4, and then Ralph said they're going back to that. It just, long-term has less environmental effects. So I was just curious if this company will be coming to talk to us as well as like their plan.
Well, it's a possibility, I guess, that we could, Yeah, I think the treatment for milfoil doesn't affect the native plants or anything. It just treats the milfoil, and what it does is they spray it down the middle, but it spreads out, and it's looking for milfoil to inhabit, and so it covers the whole marina between the docks and shore to shore and so forth. So, yeah. But the starry stonewort, that's a little tougher problem, and as far as I know, they're not changing the treatment. But we could certainly ask them and have them here.
It was a water milfoil. You're correct, that they were going back to it.
Oh, the milfoil?
Yeah. A more effective, low toxic chemical that they're changing to. But that's a milfoil.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Yep, the MLA got 21,000 to work on that.
Are you talking about the grants or what?
Yes.
Oh, the grants,
Yeah.
not the chemical.
Nope, the chemical will be, it's a new, more effective chemical that has lower toxicity to it.
So. Okay, well, I'd like to make a motion that we continue to treat the starry stonewort, and if the council would like to have a representative of Tigris here to talk to us, we can do that. So they probably won't be treating until late May or June, I think, so. So I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the chemical treatments for the starry stonewort, and that we also have a survey done prior to.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion by myself and a second by Councilor Tafe to go ahead with the treatments for the starry stonewort, and is there any questions or? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Police Department for their monthly report, and Chief Mitch Johnson.
I'll keep it short. I don't have much. For March, we had, looks like 190 calls for service, which in February were at 160, so it's getting springtime, so everything's gonna start moving up and get a little busier, people moving back, and so just expectations. I don't know if you have any questions on any of the calls for service in there that's already there. I don't know if you wanna look at those quick, or good to go with those. The only other thing I'll say I have is just, tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of Josh Owen, Deputy Josh Owen. So just, we appreciate the community support to continue with Shannon or Island and the Sheriff's Office. And so if anybody has their blue lights out there, tomorrow night would be great if we could see those shining through the city of Starbuck and through the county. So other than that, thank you.
Okay, I don't know if Doug Noyes is here from the fire department. Joan, I don't know if you want to update the council on the fire hydrant at Hopewell Park?
I believe Doug checked with the fire marshal and was told that the fire hydrant will need to be repaired, the one that is there, so.
Were you aware of that, Randy? or-
That's fine, we can dig it up, repair
Randy, how quickly would it take to get that repaired? You know, or like, how quickly would it take to get that fire hydrant repaired?
I can call them and get servicing scheduled right away. The slough level's really high and the hydrant's pretty much at water level, so it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, I'm just worried because we're a month away from Hopewell Park opening and don't want people in there while it's open, so.
Is there an option just to move it, like,
No.
no?
I think it's.
I mean, not remove it, but to, like, could
Move
it
it
go
to a
like
new
50
location?
feet? Yeah, new location, thank you.
I think that would probably cost more money and.
No, moving it's not an option.
Okay, all right.
I guess my concern is the frost just moves everything, and the place that it broke, the hydrant guys or the parts guys have never even heard of them coming apart there. Where we think it is, we don't know without digging it up, but it's separated the hydrant itself. Surprisingly, it didn't snap the pipe off by pulling up on it, which is my concern, especially in the middle of winter, being back in the slough. If it snapped the pipe off and we're losing 200,000 gallons of water a day, you're not gonna know where it's even going because it's just running in a slough. So I guess that was my thought, is we'd be better off
just taking that one out of there and leaving it capped off, we have an endless supply of water if there is a fire in the marina or with the marina right there. So it's not like water is an issue in the event of a fire, in my opinion, and I guess I'm on the fire department also, but yes.
But we don't have an option, right?
I mean, that's
It
a
kinda
question
sounds
for
like, yeah.
Doug, but, yeah.
If the fire marshal says you gotta do it, you gotta do it?
That's what they told us,
Okay.
yeah.
Placement, or is it just kind of, you know, not to put you on the spot, but.
So I don't know, do we need a motion on this?
Usually place them every, so you want it so it's set up for whatever apparatus.
Yeah.
If you have 200 feet of LDH on your apparatus, then it's right there.
We've got the marina there for water. We also have another hydrant about half a block from this one, just straight east, so.
I suppose it'd be based on the commercial fire code.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know what the code is, I'm just looking at the future.
Kinda sounds like Doug found out what the code is.
Well, we walked the Hobo Park 3 weeks ago. We didn't see a second hydrant anywhere near that one. Did you find it?
It's right by, like by Donna Noise's house on that dead end road.
Oh. Okay.
That's outside of the park,
Yep,
down that road.
it's where this one comes down, so it'd be Garter Street, that dead end street that
Okay.
comes down to the lake. There's a hydrant right there, and I don't know if it's 150 feet away, probably, I would guess.
Is that one functioning?
Yeah, that one gets
Well,
flushed
I
every
mean, I guess I can't argue with the fire marshal because I'm
Nope,
not
I don't think we
knowledgeable.
wanna argue with the fire marshal.
That's fine.
I just asked that we contact Ferguson right away and, try and get it done before the park opens, you know?
Yep.
How about the repaving of the roads, is that?
I was gonna meet with them Friday, we're gonna meet with them tomorrow to kind of look over scope of the project and that, and
Okay.
we're gonna be their first project as soon as it's warm enough to get their plant fired up and
Okay.
running again, so, they kind of thought it would be the last week of, April, first week of May, depending on weather and their scheduling and that, so it should be done around the time of the park opening.
Okay.
Anything else you have? I don't have anything for you guys really new. Is there any other questions since I'm up here? I know I'm next on the agenda, so.
Oh, we will be discussing, later on.
The tarring
something
of-
with Hobo Park.
Fuller Street here, okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
for now.
Thanks, Randy.
See, I don't know, did you have anything else, Randy, as far as, water and sewer? Okay.
I just have, Mary Beth Noyes, I just have a question on if they don't do those roads until May 1st and you can't drive on them right away, are we looking at delaying opening of Hobo Park until people can drive on it? Will that make a difference? I mean, in the past, one time the roads were, the frost plugs didn't come up or whatever you call those. And so we couldn't open right away, but we need to know so that we can let our.
Randy,
seasonal
as far as
people
you're
know.
concerned,
Well, we'll look at the scheduling. It's
Yeah.
not that you can't necessarily drive on, they drive on Newton Beach hard roads right away. It's just, they gotta cool a little bit. Definitely don't want to be parking on them or anything like that.
Okay,
But
will you let me know once you
we'll-
find out at your
we'll
meeting?
Talk to them and find out. and
Okay.
See what their schedule looks like, where we get too far ahead of ourselves here.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, on the agenda is city clerk treasurer. And Joan, did you have anything on the potential cleanup day?
Yeah, we were looking at trying to schedule a cleanup day for late spring, early summer. We have a potential date of June 7th, lined up with Polk County Solid Waste, but we haven't confirmed anything with West Central Sanitation yet. But they would like to have the cleanup day up at the new recycling center instead of here. So that's their request, if they're gonna come and
Say that again, Jody?
work. They wanna have it up at the new recycling center up on 300th Avenue,
And when are they open?
April 29th.
Okay. But what days of the week are they open?
Oh, I have to look at the schedule again.
Is it Tuesdays and
Yeah,
Thursdays?
I believe it is, yeah. I have to look
Okay.
at their schedule.
And you said that they're also gonna be accepting more things?
Well, that's unofficially, so we're not gonna advertise that until we get official word it's okay.
Okay.
But
I think it'd be nice to have it up there on the 7th, just because a lot of times people have graduation parties here.
yeah, we
And-
don't have anything scheduled here
Yeah.
on that particular weekend, but they would like to advertise the fact that they're up there and,
That'd be great.
yeah. So if we can schedule with West Central, we'll probably try for the 7th.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, next item on the agenda is planning and zoning. I don't know if we have anybody that has anything on that. We'll move on to airport committee. I don't think Tom Bukens is here. So we'll move on to streets and parks, and Chris, Counselor Gracky would like to update us on the March 26th Parks and Recreation Committee meeting.
Yep, we had a nice crew, and the Friends of the Park walked, and then that was what a lot of Cassidy said was brought to that. And we had suggested to address it at the city council as well, her list. But we talked about, in particular, what about the 100th birthday anniversary, whatever you want to call it, for the park? Is that something that we want to do? Do we want to have a work session focusing on the park? A year is going to go fairly quickly to get our ducks in a row before people say, hey, I want to help out, and I don't know what want to help out with. And then we identified some of the things if we could do within a year's time to make the park as special as it could be. I did get a picture from somebody, which this didn't have to do with the park meeting, but and they were concerned about the shoe fly, which when the Friends Park group walked through the shoe fly, was it a little ratty-tatty, for lack of better words, but the picture I got yesterday, someone was down there with the grandchildren, and the bar on the top is off, and it's, not only is it needing repair, it really needs to just be redone. I mean, it is a liability, I think, right now for the city, that if a child climbs up there and walks around, and that's not gonna hold them, they're gonna fall. So, I don't know, I would like to ask that if we could have a work session, so collectively we could talk about some things and get some plans. I know Dane, Roger, Chris has had input, and Randy and Mary Beth, you know, we've have talked about things, but I think we need to have a council work session, if that's okay.
That sound okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We'll let Joan try and reach out.
Well,
David?
any ideas while we're all here together?
It would be nice before the Gladdy Bring grants are due, just in case we're looking for some money.
That would have to be next week.
Okay. Is that something we can schedule after this meeting? I don't think people really care to hear about our calendars.
We can.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we'll get together in the office.
Perfect. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
All right. Anything else?
Dane, that was about it, wasn't it? We really focused more on Hobel Park during that meeting than the
Yeah.
park. We just kind of
Well,
highlighted.
That's the next item on our agenda is
Yep.
Dane Christensen to talk about Hobel Park, so I'll let Dane,
All right, so in each of your packets, you have the Starbuck campground map. One of the core tenets of Hobel Park was welcoming travelers from across the country. However, I think we're looking at reducing the number of weekend rental lots from 16 down to 10, so we have 102 lots total. I've worked with Derek and Mary Beth, we've identified 6 lots. 6 is the number that we think is an appropriate number. And there's multiple reasons why we want to get rid of some of these weekend rental lots. One of them is the people that live there full-time take pride in the place. You know, it's like their second home, their home away from home. They have more incentive to take care of it, keep it clean and stuff like that. It's guaranteed revenue from the city. The average overall booking rate was like 48% when you did it among all the lots. So, you know, if the lots aren't being fully utilized, it's more revenue for the city. There's less people moving in and out throughout the weekend, so there's less damage that's gonna occur. We have to replace the posts all the time, and, you know, kids running around and stuff, moving big campers, you know, in one weekend, out on Monday type thing, another issue. It'll open up more time for the city staff at Hobo Park for spending on reservations and stuff like that. And there's over 100 people on the reserve list waiting for a spot to open up. So, you know, there's a need and a want for seasonal campers. So the Parks and Rec Committee is kind of coming to the council asking if we'd be okay removing 6 of these lots, and if you guys had any input on which 6 lots you'd like to remove. So that was the first request. I mean, if you want to look at the maps in front of you, the ones that we identified we're not touching any of the ones by the lake. We were thinking of 64, 66, 67, and 69, which is all right there next to the fish cleaning house to the east of that. And then 58 and 59, which are down Walleye Lane there. I don't know if you guys had any inclination towards any other ones. Obviously, I feel like 51 through 54 are off limits. Those are the nicer lots. We should save those for weekender people. They come in, you know, see what the park is like, get to experience the lake. You know, I wouldn't want to touch those. And 18 and 71 are very popular as well for the weekend campers. So if they're being utilized more than the other lots, don't touch them because people like those lots. So the other ones that aren't included in this are 55, 46, 47, and 38, which are all right by that 58 and 59. So we're open to anything. I just think the 4 at the top by the fish cleaning house would be the ones for sure that we'd want to convert.
All 4 up there?
Yep, 69, 67, 66, and 64.
And then 58 and 59.
58 and 59, yep.
Okay.
So I don't know if we'd have to have a public hearing on this. I mean, we want to get,
Shouldn't
I
have
don't
to.
think so. We probably just need a motion to do that.
City-owned.
I mean, if is there any other input on the lots? Otherwise, I'm willing and ready to make the motion that we convert 6 of them.
I think you talked with,
It's under new business.
It's under new
Oh,
business,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
We'll save that for new
Yep,
business.
for sure.
Okay.
but since you talked with Mary Beth and everybody at the Hobo Park, if those are the lots that you guys came up with, I'm gonna trust you guys know what you're talking about there.
Okay. The second component to this one was that we'd increase the rate for the seasonal campers. I think it's appropriate to also increase the rate for the weekend campers. Right now, it's either $35 or $40 a night, depending on hookup, which is super cheap when you look at other campgrounds, you know, so, looking at around a 10% increase on that as well, too, to $45 to $53 per night, so that would have to happen at this meeting, for it to affect the 2027 season, so. But that can come up later too, so that's all I have. Actually, the other items I do have are the fire hydrant, which we talked about, the electric box at the old lighthouse, was that taken care of? Has that been?
I talked to him about it today, it's gonna happen this week.
Okay, and then there's 2 trees that are hanging over, and there's room to get back there. Can we get those removed before we get campers coming in?
We're gonna do it today, Rick couldn't get in with the boom truck, so it'll be this week.
Okay, perfect. And then the last one is, we've created a Google Doc so that Derek can use down at the campground. He can access it on the phone, so if people call in complaints, you know, Mary Beth can add it to the Google Doc. He can check on his phone. If anyone else at the city, you know, office, if they need access, let me know, and you guys can have access to it too. If someone calls down there, just put it in the Google Doc. You don't have to call Derek every time. He can just check on his phone and stuff. So it should allow us to track the issues better and stay on top of them. And we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work, it is what it is, but it's a new approach to try to be more proactive and productive at Hobo Park, so let me know if anyone else wants or needs access to that. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Dane, are you looking at the increase in the weekend rate for 2026 or 2027?
2027, because I think they've already booked for 2026.
No, we haven't started booking until May 10th. So
Did I
if
get
you
that?
wanna increase that for 2026,
Oh, right, yes, because they, yeah, so for 2026 then, for next year, to increase the rates, correct. And that's just the weekend lots, we're not, yeah.
Is there anything else on the walkthrough, or?
There was a couple minor things, you know, looking at the bathrooms, they're still work in progress. It's been 3 weeks, so who knows, you know, I haven't been there since then. I don't know what the progress is, but they looked very good. I'm happy with the results. The one issue is there's 2 handicap stalls, and I get it, you have to have wheelchair access. I just hope that the slope is correct in there, otherwise you're gonna have water kind of coming out of the stalls, so we won't know that until we can turn the water on. But they were talking about doing the drop ceiling too. I don't know if. That's all done. Is it? All right. Well,
Nice.
maybe tomorrow I'll call Derek and go down there and check it out, so.
Okay. All right. Let's see, I think, that was it, right? We're not,
Nope.
nothing there.
Mm-mm.
Okay, there's no old business. We'll move on to new business, and first item is to discuss the request to rezone the parcel 27-0590-600-600 from residential farmland to rural service district. And as we heard from Brett, the buyer of the property is backing out, so,
We still should do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, you know,
So, I'll speak to that. You know, as of today, the city of Starbuck does not have the legal authority to rezone this parcel as a rural, service district, because that particular zone is not recognized by the city. So, it would require the city to create this new zone via city ordinance, which is a legislative act. And in doing so, we'd have to prove that this serves a legitimate public purpose and that there's a rational basis for the city to believe that the decision will further the intent, that it's of public interest. Since this proposed zoning, you know, seems to be affecting one person in particular and not a large swath of the population, we can't meet the minimum recommendations for creating this zone, so that would be sufficient to say that we cannot move forward with that request.
so you're making the motion that we not grant that request.
I will make the motion that we do not make the request to rezone parcel 27-0590-600 from residential farmland to rural service district, as we do not currently have that zone.
Okay,
I'll-
who's second?
Mary.
Mary. Okay, we have a motion from Counselor Christensen to deny the request to rezone parcel 27-0590-600 from RF residential farmland to a rural service district, seconded by Counselor Bacco. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to discuss converting a portion of the Hobel Park daily rental sites to seasonal sites for 2026. And Dana's proposed 6 of those sites to be converted to full-time sites. And also, you had an additional,
Do you want this as 2 separate motions or as one?
what do you think?
Either way.
Okay. I guess I'll make the motion then to convert sites 58, 59, 64, 66, 67, 69 from weekend slots to full-time seasonal slots. In addition to that motion, to increase the rates for the 2026 season for the weekend lots from $35 or $45 per night to the $40 or $53 per night. So you can rent 2 different lots on the weekend. One's 35, one's 45. The other one, that one is going up from 40 to 53. So $5 increase for one, $8 increase for the other, roughly 10%.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Counselor Christensen to update the, to add, to add sites 64, 66, 67, 69, 59, and 58 from weekend seasonal spots, and to increase the weekend spots fees from 35 to 45 to 53 for 2026. So, do we have a second?
That was me.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Christensen to convert those sites from weekend sites to seasonal sites for 6 parcels, and to increase the rate for weekend parcels from 35 to 45 to 53 for the 10 additional sites. So, and we have a second from Counselor Keefe.
Yep.
So, any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to discuss proposed ordinance number 92-045, regulating the keeping of chickens within the city limits. And I personally am not in favor of it, so I'll make a motion that we deny that request. And I don't know if there's any questions or discussion, or?
I would like to discuss it, but I was my thought is that if we could put that on the work session as well. I think there's some changes that perhaps we could make with the ordinance that would make it more appealing, and we would have some answers and directions as far as what we want to do, except for the unknowns, like who would be the compliance officer? Like, for example, one thought, and again, not to, I think we should discuss it at a work session, would be if your property is not in with the blight ordinance in compliance with that, then you can't have the chickens. We don't need more on top of more. But I think
That's a good
it's
point.
something to discuss, and I just don't feel comfortable at this time voting yes or no on that, but I would certainly like to be able to explore some possibilities, maybe toughen up some different areas of that, but really give it a comprehensive look before making a judgment on it. So that would be my suggestion.
I agree with that.
Did you make a motion on that? Or did we have a work session?
Can
on
I just
that?
say I make a motion for that? Oh, we're just gonna put it on the work session? Perfect,
Yeah, because we're going to be talking about blight too, and
Yep.
stuff, so,
perfect.
okay.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to approve Minnewaska Community Health Services lawful gambling permit for August 25th, 25. So,
I'll make the motion to approve the lawful gambling permit for Minnewaska Community Health Services.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion by Counselor Tafe to approve the Minnewaska Community Health Services lawful gambling permit for August 25th, 2025, seconded by Counselor Gurecki. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I didn't hear anything down here, so.
I'm in a difficult position because my brother is the manager of the Minnewaska home, Lutheran home, so I don't know if I have a conflict of interest, so
Okay.
I'd probably just abstain from
Yep.
the motion.
You're in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss steps city needs to take if blight abatement is necessary. And I think that's probably falls in with your work session discussion. on-
Okay. I just know we went as far as, I think it's important that we get who's going to pick up the stuff and how we're going to inventory it, and then get that on the paper, so before we send Mitch out again this year, that we can do a follow-through completely. Otherwise, it's kind of an empty threat. Threat, probably not the right word to use, but
Yeah, I mean, we need to take action on it, so,
Yes.
our whole
Yeah.
plan was we were waiting until it got nice out to be able to come in and remove stuff, so, yeah, I agree.
where, is it, who knows those companies? I guess it would be nice if we could have that information at that meeting. Is that something, Joan, are you aware of?
I know of one of them.
Okay.
There's probably others.
Is it possible to just get some costs before that work session?
Well,
Or-
it would depend so much on what the circumstances are. We could maybe get Charlene could get some basic information.
That would be
possibly.
helpful so that we're ready to go for the next step if they're not in compliance with blight and get it cleaned up this year.
And I was gonna ask Joan if, we'd have to have another public hearing if we change the,
Yes.
chicken ordinance, so.
Okay.
So just so everybody's aware, we'd have to have another public hearing, so, okay. Do we need a motion on that, put that in the work session, or?
You can make a motion to delay it for more discussion, maybe?
Okay.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion to pause discussion on the steps to take, for blight abatement until we have a work session.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Christensen to delay the blight abatement steps necessary till we have a work session on it, and seconded by Counselor Balko. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is to approve a public hearing for a conditional use permit allowing A&A Towing to construct a 9-foot fence with 3 strands of barbed wire on top on the property per attached diagram. And I don't know if everybody's seen that. It's within their property lines, or it's on their property lines.
It
Yeah.
is, yes. He's
So-
revised it.
Yeah, so,
So he's following all other rules, he just wants the 9-foot fence.
Right, and the barbed wire on top.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve a public hearing for the conditional use permit allowing A&A Towing to construct a 9-foot fence with 3 strands of barbed wire.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion by Counselor Christensen to approve a public hearing for a conditional use permit allowing A&A Towing to construct a 9-foot fence with 3 strands of barbed wire on top on the property that they own, seconded by Counselor Cave. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Last item on the agenda is to approve Pope County resurfacing Polar Street, which is right in front of the fire hall, all the way to State Highway 29. That's about 2 blocks. I think they're gonna mill off 1.5 inches of tar and resurface it. It should take 2 to 3 days probably, and they're gonna avoid doing it during Heritage Days or close to Heritage Days, so.
How much of the cost is Starbucks?
No cost to the city.
It's free.
I'll make a motion that we approve Polk County resurfacing Polar between 5th and 29.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Christensen to approve Pope County resurfacing Polar Street between 5th Street and Highway 29 and 28, and seconded by Counselor Tafe. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And that concludes our agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
So we have a motion to adjourn, so we are adjourned. So.